latitude and longitude. Looking at the bottom right hand corner of the Chesapeake Bay chart, you're going to see these marks. And it's simple I want to use the bottom of the chart, bottom corner, to show you at this particular area. On the right hand side of any chart, nautical chart, on the right hand side and the left hand side, on the sides, you're going to find latitude. On the bottom of any chart, nautical chart, and the top of every nautical chart, you're going to find longitude. Now, latitude, it's like climbing up a ladder, so these numbers are going to get bigger as we go north. Longitude, we're going to be moving sideways. We're going to be moving the long way. These numbers get bigger as we move west. The reason why is longitude is measured if we took the Earth and we drew a line from the North Pole to the South Pole. There's an imaginary line and it runs right straight through Greenwich, England. And they had to pick a place, so Greenwich, England is actually where we start our measuring of longitude. Greenwich, England is 0 degrees longitude. As we work in this particular charts, we'll be working on the east coast of the United States. And the east coast of the United States is west of Greenwich, England. If we were in the Mediterranean Sea, we would be east of Greenwich, England. So that's where we get the measurements east and west comes from. And when we start talking about latitude, latitude is taken from the equator. Latitude. We're working on the east coast of the United States, and this is Florida. We're working in this area. Well, we're working north of the equator. If we were down in Peru or Chile, we'd be south of the equator. So the numbers start at 0, and they go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We just read north and south. Same thing with longitude. You go 0 and different lines of longitude. This would be 1, 2, 3. We're going west longitude, and the lines on this way would be east longitude. 1, 2, 3. So that's navigation in a nutshell. And that's where we get these numbers. And these numbers are basically an angle of the sun. When you get into the celestial navigation, everything is basically an angle. And it's the angle from Greenwich, England, or the angle from the equator. And that's where they come up with these numbers. But we're just going to use these numbers on the charts. And your GPS in your car or on your phone does the same thing. It uses these numbers and the same basis, the same principle from Greenwich, England, and from the equator. Well, let's look at this mark. This mark says it's 75 degrees 30, and there's a little line. That little line, if I was a carpenter, that'd be 30 feet aboard. But we are measuring in distances and angles, and we're using time, so that would be 30 minutes. One mark would be minutes, and whatever I'd have over here would have 2 marks, and that would be seconds. Now, as the marks, if you see as you go to the west, the numbers get bigger. Each one of these marks represent a minute of longitude. Same thing with latitude. Latitude's marked out the same way. The chart manufacturer placed a solid line through every other one of these to help us count. So when I start counting longitude, I can count from here to here as 1, 2, 3 minutes of longitude. Now, if I took my dividers and I measured a point and I came down and I said I was right here, right on this mark, the proper way of reading that mark would be 75 degrees. Here's 30, 31, 32. So this mark would be 75 degrees, 32 minutes, and 0 seconds west longitude. And if I opened it up and let's say I was right here, then you would read these are tenths of seconds. So you would actually read 32 minutes, and then how many tenths of a second are you from your 32? Latitude is measured the same way. Latitude is marked 36 degrees, 50 minutes. Again, if you had to measure one of these, each one of these is actually a second. So that's how you measure latitude and longitude.